All right. My name is Michael Trowbridge, and I'm going to go over the JIRA task that I had assigned to me and were able to complete this sprint. Um, the first one that I worked on was this compile Steel Vulture primary level task, and it included gathering all the different mechanics that we used last month and put them all into one level that the team could either duplicate or work out of that we're all working out of the same um, level at this point. Because last month we were all working in different levels with our different mechanics, but this month we needed to compile everything together. So that's the first thing I worked on uh, because, well, the team needed it done as soon as possible. So I will show you that. We're currently using build 2.02. It was built this morning. Gonna turn that down just a bit so that can make sure you can still hear me. There's actually only music in this main menu, but if I go to new game and do not do the tutorial, it will take you to the Steel Vulture level. Now the mechanics that were included is the lighting system that you see here. Some rooms are dark, some rooms are light or lit, and this power control device that can it's basically a light switch that you can turn the lights on and off in each room. Um, Only one room can be powered at the same time, so that had to be integrated with all of the new rooms that were also introduced from last month. This room and this room are actually new rooms that we had to add. So there had to be pathing for Steve to be able to get to these. The lighting had to be added. The fire suppression and all this, or not fire suppression, but the fire mechanic had to be added as well. Let me go back out to see the rest of that one. Life support room, yeah. So horror lighting, the life support, the gin box was also added, and that is this neat mechanic with the radar here that basically is procedurally generated. We wanted it that way so that the player can continuously just go off in a direction and always find um, stuff, asteroids, which is one of the main mechanics um, worked on, so that they can always get resources. Another one that was added is this Shadow Steve. He's actually part of the horror lighting. The way he works is the player has to turn the lights on to get rid of him. Um, there's more to be followed with Steve in the future. Like if he's in a room for too long, he's going to disrupt the room in some way, whether that's start a fire or bring down the capabilities of that system. But for now, he's just a creepy annoyance, if you will. A The objective computer. Yes. This was another mechanic that was added. This optional tasks button here, and it allows optional tasks the player can complete to gain some sort of reward. The harder the task, the better the reward. But it allowed uh, just some options to gameplay instead of just focusing on the primary. Um, Again, most of them are pretty difficult. So if the player is desperate, they won't be able to do these. But if the player does end up with extra resources or extra time, they'll be able to complete those. But that is the Jira task. Oh, one last one actually. It wasn't listed in the Jira task, so when we created that task, we didn't know if we were going to keep it, but one of the mechanics we added uh, from last month is the stamina mechanic. Steve, anytime he's moving, this bar goes down. Where's Steve? And once it's down, he gets really slow. But if you send Steve to this bed here, it plays a ridiculous animation, but it refills his stamina. Now you can't get Steve back up once he's in bed until it is full. But another, these chairs are also placed everywhere, and if the player places Steve in a chair, it does not go up past 50%. So if they're below 50%, it'll go up to 50%, but it's a lot slower as well. But it helps keep, like, you can kind of pre-position Steve into certain areas to make sure he's, still usable. But Steve stamina does go down pretty quickly. But either way, that is the first Jira task that was completed. It took 8 days to complete, or I'm sorry, 8 hours to complete, because there was a lot of stuff to move in and put together. Like a lot of this task was mainly just making sure all of these systems worked together. The actual build of the level was not too complicated. Adding the support room and whatnot, it was not the most complicated. It was just making sure all of these worked together, causing no bugs. But the second and technically final task that I worked on is this one up here. I'm not sure why I placed it up here. It had a couple of subtasks that other members of the team were working on, so it ended up placing it up here. But it is technically done. Yeah, see, there's the subtask. But the tutorial level was very linear. I'm not sure exactly how else to put that. Anyways, the tutorial level, I had to basically remake the tooltips mechanic that I had from last month into a more streamlined level that teaches the player a very specific item before moving on to like another level in the future that will teach them the next item and so on. Um, so now that subtask you saw was actually Benjamin. He created this menu thing, so it asks if you want to play the tutorial or not. But if you hit yes, it will take you to the tutorial. Now I designed this very first part to um, basically this may be most likely be the first thing the player sees. So I wanted to give a good feel of the game right off the bat. So we have this prompt screen here that's kind of telling the player a little bit of narrative. A nice little boot up scene. Um, and again, more narrative and kind of like what the player is trying to do here. Once you get to a certain point, actually, unlike the Steel Vulture level, there are no other cameras in this tutorial because it is not needed yet. Um, all I'm teaching in this tutorial is purely the radar controls and what the player is going to be doing with the radar itself. So after that first kind of text click-throughs, this red arrow appears telling them like to click on this object here. Once in here, some more narrative plus a little direction thing that the player will follow. And when they click on these, basically after they have done the task, it'll go away. So we have one to move. That could be in any direction, but it says move the cursor, then center the cursor. If you press this button, we move the ship towards the cursor, and then Z-axis up and or down, and then it'll bring you to a narrative. I accidentally skipped through that one, but again, it's more narrative. More narrative. Another little sequence to show the player this new HUD element and how to use it. So when this is full, which is what that kind of animation does, they can press this FTL jump button to jump to the next area of the kind of cluster of planets they're currently at. And that is how you end a level in normal Silvulture. You have to fill this charge up and select which planet you want to jump to from there. And that will actually reload the next level. So that is all that happens in this very first tutorial. It's, hey, get used to the radar and how to leave the level. So pressing that actually takes you straight to that other Steel Vulture level. The reason I needed, I mean, this took a very long time. This was the majority of these last 2 weeks. I believe no, here, let me, okay, yeah. That task actually only took him an hour, but yeah, it took me, it was 5 hours. Yeah, 21 hours to complete this this task because there was a lot of step-by-step functions that I have to bring the player through. I've never actually built a level quite like that. Most of the time it's pretty free. The player can kind of do whatever they want, but in the tutorial, I have to have them follow step-by-step in any direction. One thing I forgot to mention was when it does the prompt goes away and they are supposed to click that radar for the first time, you can't click on anything else. There's nothing else to do except for click on that radar. And that's, again, to make sure that the player doesn't accidentally click something they're not supposed to, and make the tutorial go off in the wrong direction. It is actually still using the Steel Vulture level, at least the base frame of it, but the level blueprint will let me control more. But that was just the first tutorial out of 4. And these next 2 weeks, I will be working on the other 3 tutorial level. The other 3 tutorial levels. So the first tutorial, when you get to that map, will actually bring you to the second tutorial, and so on and so forth. I don't believe it's going to take me 2 days again to complete each one of these. It should be a lot shorter now that I have a template for it. I'm going to copy over that level and basically just do what I need to teach in here. I've created a lot of mechanics specifically made for the tutorial level, so I should be able to just throw that stuff in there now to be able to just do exactly what I need. But we'll find out next week. And then the last task, those 2 tasks combined actually brought me over 32 hours, but one of the only other tasks that I finished added another 6.5 hours, and it was, now we already discussed this in class, there is a better way to do this, and it's to create the subtask underneath the task that you're helping them with. But as I was helping teammates with some of their Jira tasks, I created this kind of Jira task management thing and added my time. And most of these mention like what I was helping with or whatnot. But it just added more time. And then the one I did not get to finish, I'm not sure if we even have to show this off, but some of the bugs that popped up after adding some things. One of the main bugs that I needed to get working was this fire bug. When a fire randomly spawns on the ship, sometimes the HUD elements stop working, like they're not being focused on or something. I'm not sure. It just won't let you left click on any of the HUD elements. There's a quick and dirty way of getting rid of that by getting into the radar and back out, and then they work again. But I did spend, it wasn't very long, but I spent a hot minute in there trying to figure that one out. But those were all of my Jira tasks, and you take care.
Hello, my name is Ben Martinez, and this is my sprint run review task demonstration. So to start, we're gonna open up latest build. Alright, so now that's up, I'm gonna show my tasks. So first, volume control. Make volume control more visible, save volume settings. I spent around 5 hours on that. Ask the player if they want to play through or skip the tutorial when the, this is supposed to say player, when the player clicks on new game, they will be asked if they would like to play a tutorial or skip it. For that time in, I was only about an hour. Next task is progress bars. To change the progress bars into diegetic objects on the ship. That one took me about 10 hours, a day and 2 hours throughout the entire sprint. Next one is update fire code in the level blueprint. Update the fire code so that it has the radar scan / decrease asteroid tier logic. And then for my final task that I got done was the path decision tree. When the player clicks on the FTL jump button, a map comes up so that they can choose which path to take. This will be like warping to another planet or loading into level essentially. This one took me about 4 hours. And then for the fire code, I forgot to mention, this one took me about 2 hours. Alright, so going back in here, we're going to do with the volume control first. So initially, this was red and green. The bar itself was green, and the handle for it was red. I changed that to white and orange, and I was able to make the handle a little bigger so it's a lot more visible. One thing I noticed here now in the build that it's not saving, but playing in editor, it does save. So I'm going to go back through and see why that's not working. And for the next task was to asking the player if they want to play through a tutorial or skip it when they click on new game. Here's a little box that comes up. If they click no, it just loads into the regular Steel Vulture level. And then going back, we're going to go through and click yes this time, and that will load into the first tutorial level for the game. Okay, there's that. And there's that. For the next task is the progress bars. Change the progress bars into diegetic objects on the ship. For this one, what I did was I took the progress bars that were down on the bottom, changed them into radial bars, as I said for the last check-in. For the update to that, I went ahead and changed the color for this one for the fuel, and then also for the oxygen, I took that and also made that a radial bar itself because we discussing with my team, we decided it was important for that to be visible at all times, as well as the ship's health outside. For this inside is the NPC stamina and then the NPC health on the outside. We just decided it would be more beneficial for the player to know that at all times. So that was it for the progress bars. For the update fire code and level blueprint, that pertains to the scanning info up here on the top left. So now I just got to find an asteroid or something here. This would work better on asteroids. I gotta go find one. Here, let's try this one. Here we go. So then if we go over here, to see how it does the decreased here now. Initially it wasn't working and it would just do print strings. So now it's all working perfectly fine. And also that as well. So we're going to find another one so we can get some more materials. Oh, it's this way. Okay. Is that enough? Not quite. I'm gathering these materials to show the final part of my task. Can I make that? Okay. Oh, nope, don't want to do that. Let's see if I can find a different one. Just showing the buttons on the radar. I'm also moving these with keyboard binds as well. So that's scanning. Okay, let me go over here. Awesome. Oh, it was also left over from previous. It's just the optional objective. Okay. I gotta find this fire. Where is this fire? Oh, there you are. Way over there. Okay. There's also kind of a bug when a fire spawns. The mouse buttons on screen don't work until the fire is put out. And the workaround was to go into the radar and out. So now that we have enough scrap here, I'm gonna go over here, get rid of Shadow Steve first, so I can demonstrate my final task that I worked on. That works. So to bring up that that screen that I was talking about, I have to fill up this charge bar up here, which is going to spawn a button, and clicking on that button will bring up the screen. Alright, so now we have fully charged. Click on the FTL jump button, and here is the screen that I made. So click on any one of these currently will just reload the main steel vulture level. But as we make more levels and make things more more specialized, these will load into different levels that we make in the future. And that is the end of my task demonstration. Thank you for watching.
Hello, my name is Vinny Zhang, and I'll be first talking to you the stuff I did in Jira, and then showing you the stuff I did in game. So first, what I did first is to add the loose stamina into the game for Steve. So if you have see here, I have worked a day and 1 hour on this task. So see down here, history. So I created all the stuff inside Jira first day of class, and then finish and turn stuff in May of 3rd, and then I officially started at I think the 3rd. Yep, I officially started doing this task on the 3rd. So the 3rd, and then the 4th I didn't do anything, but I think the other tasks I did do stuff on the 4th. So 5th, the 6th, and the 9th, the 10th, and then today's the 12th. This is the optimized loose stamina. Show you that, and then some of these stuff like fixing fire, loose stamina, and then we don't have to fix ship at the moment because we don't have that implemented. But when it is implemented, it will be added. So it will check the character is moving. If it is moving, it will lose stamina. And then balancing out how much stamina will be used whenever they walk. And then next I'll show you the regain stamina, how they regain stamina. So history, so of course everything, added all the tasks on the first, didn't do anything on the second, third, and officially starts at the third. But I had to do the regain stamina first before I go to no, I have to do the lose stamina before I go back to regain stamina, because you gotta lose to regain. So right here, 8th, 8th, 9th, 9th, then 10, 10, and then 12. So completion criteria, I did spend a bit more time. Like I spent a day and 2 hours and 30 minutes on this task. When the animation is done, the character will start gaining stamina, and also allow the player to regain their speed back whenever if they reach zero. What they mean is, whenever the stamina goes to zero, the bad the side effect or the con of not keeping track of your stamina is your your speed, your max speed goes to 100, and if you use the bed and regain stamina, you'll go back to normal speed. And then the stamina will keep going up when they are still in bed. That means whenever they're in bed, it doesn't just do it once, it will continue to go until they reach maximum stamina if they so want to. And then the chair will allow the player to regain stamina when they reach 1/4 of their stamina. This is changed, so whenever they're halfway, and if they go beyond halfway, they're like, oh, I'm losing stamina. They could go to the nearest chair to sit down to regain stamina, but it will cap at half. So I'll show you that whenever we're inside the game. And of course, the last thing I did, but the bed cooldown, even though I worked 5 hours and 30 minutes on it, it was 5 hours and 30 minutes wasted. So I will not be. This is not in the build. So goodbye 5 hours and 30 minutes. So, and then revamp room stamina, revamp room assets, history, everything created, and then worked. Revamping everything so it looks like what it is. And then let's see, third, and then fourth, and then 8, 11, and then today 12. And I did work a day on 1 hour on this. So I'll be showing you the oxygen tank, and then in the life support room, and then in the barracks, I was gonna add a table, but I feel like there's no point at the moment. And then the bed is somewhat changed, so it looks like a bed. And then the walls, so each room has the same walls, so just added this textures. It was the lowest priority, so it was one of the first thing I did on the 4th. Just working on this because I didn't want to do the other tasks. I just want to do logo design. So this is what I did first. So I'll show you what I did inside these rooms. And yeah, let's go into the project. So change list right here. And all right, let's allow access. Alright, now let's go into new game. No. Alright, ignore the thing on the side. So right now you're not moving, so you're not losing any stamina. And then whenever you walk, you start losing stamina. And then you sit in a chair, and then you just stop using stamina. And then let's go here. Let's go into the barracks, or yeah, this is the barracks. So let's turn on thing. Yeah, you're in idle, you're not doing anything, so you don't lose stamina. So now you see that I'm halfway and you lose some. So let's say the chair. And then you start regaining stamina until it caps at half. So yep, you just stop losing stamina all the way. And then now when you start moving, you lose stamina. And then now you go to the bed, and then you start regaining stamina all the way to max. And then you could go like let's go oxygen. And then when you get off the bed, you start losing stamina again. Oh, there is the Shadow Steve. And then there's a fire. Now I want to show you whenever they reach 0 stamina, what happens then. Yep, these go super slow, and then yeah, it's super dark. But let me just go back into the main menu. New game. No. Let's go to like a very far room, so I'll lose a lot of stamina. And before that, I'll talk a bit about the oxygen tank. The old oxygen tank didn't look like this. It was a bit larger. But alright, so I should reach 0 while I reach the chair. Now I am super slow. You see that? I'm super slow. Now if I reach the bed and then I sleep in it, you regain stamina. And then when you get off, you go back to normal speed because you just regain stamina. But like before, convert O2 to oxygen bar. This thing was a bit longer, and now it's more simplistic. It's more simple. You get it. You can see the oxygen, but you can also see the oxygen down there. This is just addition, so whenever the player sees it, it's like, oh, stamina. But there's also stamina down here. And then for the bed, this wasn't here before. I just added it yesterday, so it actually looks like a bed. So the player knows, like, that's the bed. That's where I should sleep to regain stamina. But I don't know if you want to see a win condition, but I'll let you see a win condition. Alright, right here. I think that's all I want to show. See ya. Hello, my name is Anthony Schroder, and this is my sprint review video for Team Pretty 8, our latest build. I'll go ahead and launch it. We'll be looking also at the JIRA here, at the tasks that I've already completed. Because of errors in the build that mostly were not showing up in the editor, a bunch of these tasks I've actually completed don't work. So normally I would be starting with make asteroid, scan, change color. But because for some reason a cast is failing in the code in the build and not in the editor version where it's already fixed, this is like insanely hard to demo. Guess we'll start with the fix ship turn to cursor, because this is actually something that I can demo. So the old way that the ship would turn to the cursor is it would do it for 2 seconds and then it would stop. And I went on to fix it to where even if it doesn't do that, or when you try to move the ship, it's going to rotate the ship to the cursor. And at any point, if the ship has not met the cursor, it will continue to track it like this. But when the ship does get to the cursor, then it goes back to normal. But yeah, so that's the current state of the ship turn to cursor. It took me about half an hour to do. This scanning make asteroids change colors took me about an hour and a half. The quick move function was something that was present in the level, but because the new game doesn't, there's actually no way to access the level that this was fixed in the build. Its code still has to be put into the levels that can be accessed in the build, and this was also just another quick fix. I basically only hooked up the bool check in the code to keyboard controls and not to the diegetic controls that you can click on in the level. So I just had to basically put in that there, and that also only took me about 30 minutes to do. But like I said, the quick move function is not present in any demoable level right now. Next is make asteroids decrease tier when missed. And this took me a bit longer than expected. It took me 5 hours. We'll see if we can get this to work. Again, with the scanning bug, what's going to probably happen is it'll just infinitely scan this asteroid. Yeah. Now, the bug can sometimes not happen if you move in and out. But currently, as you can see, it's just super broken. It's not like this in the editor version because I already have it fixed. But in this build, it's currently broken. And this is connected to both the asteroid changing colors and the asteroid tier reducing.
which both worked in editor, and now basically I can't can't make it happen in the build. We'll try a couple more times, and if it doesn't work, then we'll just move on. All right, well there it goes. It finally targeted one. You can see it changed colors, and now if we do this, you can see. Of course, I hit it when it had already reduced 2 times, but as you can see, each of those 2 times that I was hitting it, it was reducing. Yeah, probably won't be able to get the scan to actually work properly again. Again, it does work properly in the build, or in the editor build, but there you could kind of see that when I hovered over it, it did actually change colors, and when I was clicking on it, oh, there we go again. So when I click on it here, you can see it reduced the tier from 4 to 3, and if we go back, the asteroid is slightly smaller. Do it again, now it's 2. Go back, asteroid smaller, and you get the picture. And if it goes all the way down, then the asteroid is no longer there. It's gone. So that is actually this up here, make asteroid change colors, which is the description. I just basically have assign color to each of the asteroid types, and have them change color and mesh to denote what's inside. And down here, when the player fails the QuickTime event, have the asteroid tier decrease by 1 instead of destroying the asteroid altogether. And that took me some time. Next is fill out anomaly functions, which I have written in here. Probably a bit too basic for the time, but I wasn't actually sure what kinds of anomalies I wanted or how they would interact. So I just create different anomaly types and have them respond differently to the different inputs. Here I have scanning, flying into, and torpedoes, but scanning didn't really make any sense because you're going to have to kind of scan it, to shoot a torpedo at it or to fly into it. We can go demo that now. But basically there's 4 types of, I think there's an anomaly over here. There's 4 types of anomalies. There's dark matter, black hole, temporal, and magnetar. So those each do different things for both shooting a torpedo at them and flying into them. Again, the torpedoes are not in this present level because, again, they were in another one. It is not accessible in this version. But if we fly into this, it should give us so there it gave us one of the bad outcomes in FTL. Our FTL was reset to 0. So if we had a bunch of charge, it would have just gone all the way back down. Now, good things can also happen with these anomalies. So it's not just like bad things will happen every time. There's another one. Let's see what happens when I fly into this one. That one also reset my FTL to 0. What about this one? Let's go. Ship half health. So I'm only getting bad things out of the anomalies right now, but as you can see the bottom on our radial bar here, we now have half of our ship health. And even if that was already lower, it's just dividing it by 2. It's not setting it to half. So yeah, that one would be bad either way. Let's just go try to find one more to see if we can actually, what's it called? If we can get something good maybe out of one of them. And asteroid belt, we're not going to find any anomalies here. Keep going. There's a bunch of minefields going on. Now we actually are running out of fuel, so I will not be able to continue moving. See, I've now run out of fuel. Cannot move. But those are some of the anomalies. I have a write-up of the different percentages. So I should probably throw that in a comment in here just so we know exactly what they are in a reasonable space. I have them pinned in my Discord for the team to see. But it's hard to see if you're not looking under the hood or you're not looking at the percents. But they're basically an intentionally, like almost a random encounter kind of thing. And different ones will react differently if you shoot torpedoes at them. Like some can freeze them where they are, or it'll wildly change the velocity of the projectile. So the more you play, the more you can kind of find out, this anomaly will have maybe these kinds of outcomes. And there will also eventually be an upgrade in the game coming probably next sprint, where when you scan the anomaly, it'll tell you which of the 4 anomaly types it is, so you could make better informed decisions and kind of learn which ones do what easier through trial and error. Right here is the asteroid scanning bug. I didn't write a description because I literally just made it and just fixed it as well, so I didn't really even have a time to write a description. It took me about half an hour, but on the present build, the insane going in and out doesn't occur. Everything is just scanning when it's supposed to, as it should. Now, the thing that I spent most of my time working on this sprint is the procedural generation of the levels. So we'll go back in here and we'll relaunch this level. But basically, the player can now fly in any direction, and there will be new things that generate as they go. But not only that, I call it biome generation, basically, to almost copy Minecraft, where certain generations will only lead into other kinds of generation. So, an asteroid field will only potentially go into these other kinds of gens. But beyond that, there's also a counter in the Genbox Manager as you're generating new sections. That a number will increment up. And I believe the max amount that number can increment is 9 before the player runs out of fuel. So if I just fly in a straight direction, I will create 9 of these gen boxes. So once that integer goes into the last 3 digits possible, if I'm just flying in straight direction, 6, it actually goes into a new kind of generation where it will only be one of 3 things, that being an Oort cloud, interstellar medium, and galactic center. So an Oort cloud in real life has small icy comets basically. So in our game, the Oort cloud only contains the smallest tier asteroid possible. The galactic center will have a lot of anomalies because in real life it's there's the center of each galaxy is a supermassive black hole and a lot of radiation and different types of things like that. So in our game, there's just a lot of anomalies, a lot of anomalous readings, and some asteroid types. And the last one, the interstellar medium, which is the last of these 3 far-out generation types, has nothing. It's just empty. So you can go in and kind of see how that works. So if I just start flying in a straight direction forward, we'll just go and see what happens. So you start, and you can see up there, the integer just incremented up to 1 at the bottom here. You can see, and it said that we just ran into BAL remnants. So that type of biome generation is mostly wrecked ships, asteroids, and anomalies. So you can see once we get into that section that it just generated, you can see there's a wrecked ship to my left, an anomaly. So wrecked ships and anomalies are basically all that will spawn in BAL remnants. You can see now, though, it said integer went up to 2 now, and now we have a minefield in front of us. So if we continue to fly, we will fly into a minefield. As you see, another minefield was generated. That's the percentages at work there. There's a percentage chance that the type of biome you're in will continue to generate. So we're going to continue to have a minefield in front of us. And that also continued into another minefield. And we got another minefield. But now we should see when it gets to 6 here, it's going to be one of those 3 far out generation types. So see, now that we're at 6, we're at an interstellar medium. So what that is it's just nothing. So the entire generation box in front of us of 4x4 has nothing in it. And once we fly through that, as you can see now, a galactic center is what we'll be coming up on. So this has mostly anomalies and asteroids. And an Oort cloud appeared after this. So once we fly in here, we have mostly small objects, all small objects. And as you can see, I have now run out of fuel. Because as I said earlier, the integer went up to 9. It's 9 gen boxes in a straight direction, and that's it. But that was a decent demonstration of how that works. So as I'm going the direction off the radar in front of me, more objects will spawn, but those objects follow a formula, basically. And I'll also leave the percentages for the formulas, which are also written up in the comment of the Jira task. I know I don't have it in there right now, but by the time this video is uploaded, those percentages will be in here. And this took me 17 hours, basically. This took me a lot of time. Everything from adding new Genbox types to having the Genbox Manager have collision boxes on it that worked properly for generating things in directions, and then figuring out what types of biomes I wanted to lead into other biomes, and then writing down percentages for those, and then finally coding those percentages into the Genbox Manager generation. So it did take me quite a bit of time, but I'm happy with how it turned out. And right now that's still just in review, even though it is done. I might as well I just showed it to you. It works properly. There was a bug I found when making it, but that doesn't happen anymore. So as a player, I would like to fly continual direction and have objects procedurally generate the entire way. And that's exactly what we have now. Because at the start of that level, there was nothing beyond 4 boxes around the player. And things will now only generate when the player flies. It'll be different every time. So that is the main part of the sprint that I worked on. The things that took the most time would be the anomaly, writing out the anomaly functions. Another one here, you can see I have 7.5 hours logged. That's because I had to do a lot of research for just the types of anomalies that I wanted, because I wanted them to be rooted somewhat in anomalous things that exist in outer space in real life. So I had to go do research on what would be most appropriate for those and what how it would make sense in the game. But yeah, that's all I worked on for the sprint. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video.